Dear Americans, today I have a serious matter. I have to apologize, and with this video I want to say sorry. Why? Well, I grew up being told that Americans in general are kinda clueless, especially if it comes to geopolitics, like Iran, Iraq. Is there a difference? Fuck that, we have to liberate them or bring them democracy, you know? And aside from that, a crooked a crooked state is not a representative for its people, of course. But most people who used to think that way often lived in a small country, for example in a European country, like myself. And you have different time zones and different climate zones, while we are just now in different seasons, you know. So sorry for this biased valuation. But as I said, I grew up this way, and nowadays I'm not close-minded anymore. And the second point I want to make is much more important. It's about your national identity and traditional understanding of freedom, like your First and Second Amendment. And these are not just letters, like the Constitution, called Grundgesetz in Germany, that they can change whenever they want. For example, the German leader. Nah, not that one. The Chancellor, Angela Merkel. She broke the law multiple times without any consequences. Or to be honest, it's quite the opposite. Like the regional court of Rheinland-Pfalz admitted that the legislation or the legal system is overruled. Summarizing, this paragraph says illegal immigrants are guilty of an offense and breaking the established law, but the constitutional order is in an abeyance since the middle of June 2015. And it goes on saying the illegal immigration is de facto not prosecuted since then. And at this point, it must be said that the basic law in Germany is a dictated law that was installed after World War II. And yeah, it makes sense. But it doesn't equal the constitution. It's important. And even the Article 146 explicitly says that it loses validity the day the German people choose a constitution and free decision. But this is another topic, I guess. Let's return to the starting point. Where were we? The amendments and the goddamn right to speak one's mind. So no matter if you're a psychopath, liberal, Republican, a supporter of Antifa or something else, or even a national socialist enjoys these rights, or at least he shouldn't be in fear of his life. And yeah, you guys practice the freedom of speech like a duck takes to water. And because of that, I really feel obliged. Even though some of the biggest companies like Google, YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, etc. want to eliminate these behaviors. And it seems like they're looking forward to the expansion of censorship and to enforce their worldview. But we, the conservatives, or let's say the people that stand for lawfulness, don't back down. Next to Stefan Molyneux, Paul Joseph Watson, and Mark Dice, I used to listen to Owen Shroyer. And he's really smart and brave dude with balls of steel. And his interviews are amazing. The way he demonstrates and exposes the non-existent arguments of libtards. I mean, he's listening to them and respond with facts. I'm not kidding. It's really rare someone just try to have a normal conversation. Yeah, however, to bring it back to the comparison with Germany and its latest problems, the censorship, it's getting out of control day by day, no question. And valid facts, founded opinions that go against the mainstream narrative getting banned. In the prologue, Democracy and the God That Failed by Hermann Hoppe, he actually named this repressive trend, and the book was first published in 2001. So he had a good sense that the situation will get worse and shit hits the fan. And currently I'm reading a book called Unterleuten. It's a no-fact book, but it deals with a lot of critical issues and a story for reflection. For example, the splitting of Germany that came along with the socialist influence in government, about communism and the Stasi, the state secret. Oh, sorry, man. The Stasi, what was it? The State Security Service. And about agents and that infiltrate almost every organization and spied on neighbors and even on their own marriage partner. So absolutely weird. And as a reminder, fascism and socialism are two sides of the same medal. Hashtag George Soros, Antifa scum. And from a historical point of view, we're living in an extreme-free period. Oppression, blood and thunder used to be the normal state. We shouldn't forget that. And we shouldn't let it happen again. At least not without resistance. Therefore, dear Americans, I have to address you. Once, Canada had a strong belief in the freedom of speech. But since they deported and hand over people with different opinions, like Germar Rudolf, they get arrested in Germany, I think for 2.5 years, just for having a different opinion. I mean, I wouldn't count on Canada. And don't get me wrong, I don't have to share his views to support his rights, or like Evelyn Beatrice Hall said, I do not agree with what you have to say, but I defend to the death your right to say it. So, to the best of my knowledge, you're still the most liberal country, and even if socialists took over a large part of your government. And I really hope the world will see changes, as well as consequences for criminal behavior at the very top of power. And it should be common knowledge that before establishing a dictatorship, totalitarian regimes used to reduce the right of, for example, self-defense and disarm their citizens. And nowadays, most Europeans are forced to deal with it. Our hands are tied. We are delivered to fate, more or less. I mean, we can still prep and be on the alert, but we can't assert our rights. So I really hope consciousness is rising in the representatives and within ourselves. We, the people. Finally, I want to say that I hope this monologue is manageable and that you share a similar stance, especially if it comes to freedom. Excuse my English and the pronunciation. I try my best without cutting every spoken word. Peace.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there.